Hi everyone, my name is nominee, and this is the Arc of Truth. So today I'm going to be talking about Brett Kavanaugh, who is apparently the next Supreme Court nominee for Anthony Kennedy's seat. Now I know back before in my previous video I kept on saying Joseph Kennedy. I apologize for that. I kind of messed up a lot. I mean, there are a lot of Kennedys. So I greatly apologize for that mistake. Anyway, Brett Kavanaugh is obviously the nominee who is going to be the next Supreme Court justice. But there has been continuing protests from not just the Senate Democrats, but also from outside. I mean, I'm pretty sure that you guys have already seen the protests as of right now over the idea of him overturning Roe versus Wade. Here's the thing, though. He is not like Mary Barrett, or is it Bennett? I forget. If it's an R or an N, just let me know. I can't remember if that's which one is the correct last name, but still, he is not like Mary. Because, well, while he is definitely a conservative in his own right, he's more of a center-right kind of conservative. Like, he is trying to be a little bit more flexible in terms of Supreme Court. In terms of the Supreme Court, and honestly, I would have to say that it makes sense for Trump to do something like this. In fact, I will leave a link down below in the description where Styxhexenhammer actually talks about how Donald Trump should confirm his nominee, or well, his announcement of the nominee, and I think that a lot of it is actually pretty good. In fact, he actually said that while it would be interesting for Mary Bennett to actually be the next nominee to take Anthony Kennedy's seat, she is definitely very conservative. So he thinks that it would be best to wait for another time. Maybe if Ginsburg retires or dies as the next Supreme Court justice, because she is pretty old. But she is. But it does look like she may eventually retire or something like that. But anyway, why is the left so concerned about Brett Kavanaugh? Well, like I said before, he is a conservative and he is right wing. Again, he's not like very far out there, like a very big, like say a very big loyalist to the Republican Party, but he is definitely right there. He is a Republican, he is center-right, but he is willing to be flexible on a number of views, including with the issue of Roe versus Wade. In fact, I got right here on my phone talking about his opinions, especially on like the Affordable Care Act, abortion, and whatnot. So here's what he says actually back in 2006 when he was in his confirmation hearing for the District of Columbia Court of Appeals. He said that he considered Roe versus Wade binding under the principle of stare decisis and would follow the ruling of the higher court, in this case the Supreme Court. Now sorry, hold on. This stare decisis is actually basically a precedent that has been established. Now, I don't know too much about the Supreme Court, to be honest with you, so I don't know what precedent he's talking about. But he is stating that he will allow Roe versus Wade to at least be in there. Now, personally, I would love the idea of the Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade, but still, I would kind of get why he's kind of like that. However, he is in favor of abortion restrictions, like that law where in Iowa, the state law would make it illegal to have an abortion if you automatically the heart is developed from the fetus or the baby, and that to me that makes me think that yes, this is pretty good. But again, I would definitely love to see Roe versus Wade overturned. I would be lying to say if I wasn't in favor of doing something like that. But nonetheless, the Democrats have been constantly hating him on this specifically. In fact, I actually, while I was looking at Brett Kavanaugh, I actually saw Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, talk about his record as a judge and a lawyer, how he doesn't like the Affordable Care Act, how he doesn't like something called a corporate accountability, and even the idea where he actually said that he doesn't think that these prosecutions, which against President Trump, which are not going anywhere, should continue. She doesn't obviously like that, and she, in her own weird way, she believes that conservatives are certain that he would overturn Roe v. Wade. Again, something that I would love to happen, but I'm not sure if it will happen. But, which is why she is voting no. So she's obviously lost on that. I mean, let's face it, she was never on President Trump's side, especially when it comes to nominees. I'm pretty sure that she voted no when Neil Gorsuch was actually supposed to be taking Anthony Scalia's open absent seat on the Supreme Court. I'm pretty sure she said no to his confirmation. But anyway, he did mention that he did not like the Affordable Care Act. In fact, he absolutely hated it. And actually, there has been quite a precedence that excuse me. There is a present idea that he may have actually started the whole idea of the constitutionality of the Affordable Care Act. He has said many times that the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act is not under the jurisdiction of the court to hear the case. He didn't believe that back in 2011. He did, to further support his idea of the constitutionality of that law, he actually wrote a lengthy dissent from the denial of a rehearing en banc. Now, from what I can tell, an en banc session is a session in which a case is heard before all the judges of a court, before the entire bench, rather than a panel judge is selected from them. Now, again, I don't really know too much about the Supreme Court, so if you're not really understanding this much, I'm kind of in the same ballpark with you. But from what I can tell, this means that he wants it to actually be heard from a different session instead of like the Supreme Court, or at least that's how I'm thinking that it is. Don't take anything that I say as fact. So just letting you know. But again, he did mention the lengthy dissent that he made, especially with the Affordable Care Act, and that's something that he obviously does not. That actually Democrats do not like. Apart from that, he has had actually a pretty big career. I think he actually has been serving in the judicial court, or as either a lawyer or a judge ever since the 90s, I think it was. In fact, he actually did participate in the idea of establishing the impeachment of President Bill Clinton at the time. But I don't know how big his involvement was. So I think that personally, that Brett Kavanaugh is actually a very good choice for the next person to take Anthony Kennedy's seat on the Supreme Court. But I'm pretty sure that in the future, if the judges eventually retire or die from natural causes, then that would allow Trump to have a greater reign, especially when it comes to different kinds of judges. So I think that's, again, I think this is actually pretty good. And at the same time, and while at this guy Brett Kavanaugh is definitely center right, he is which definitely would at least come down to Democrats a little bit. I think at least a few of them to get them on board with the confirmation. He has been well known to be a constitutionalist. As like I said before, when he challenged the constitutionality of the Affordable Care Act, and that is definitely something that his support base of Trump supporters like me definitely like. So I'm pretty sure that I hope that this would be a speedy confirmation. Although I wouldn't be surprised, like with Neil Gorsuch, that this would be met with hard resistance from the Democrats and even by Minority Leader Schumer. I'm pretty sure that they would do everything in their power to get this guy never near the Supreme Court. I'm pretty sure of that. But I think that he eventually will. So again, I think that since this is an election year, I don't think Trump is going to go all out with the type of justice he has, simply because of that. In fact, he wants the Republicans to be in the House, the Senate, at least gain a few votes, so that way it would be at least a solid foundation for possible future judges. So for right now, this is definitely the kind of person that he definitely needs, and the left does not, and obviously the radical left doesn't like this. But again, it's hard to say what the future may hold for Brett Kavanaugh. There is a chance that he would definitely get onto the Supreme Court, but it's definitely going to be an uphill battle, especially against the Democrats. My name is nominee, and I'm the Arc of Truth. Please post your comments down below. I would love to read them anytime. Subscribe to my channel and share it to your friends and family, and like this video. Bye.